Welcome back to Extreme Voltage. My name is Dean Malconi, and we are breaking down your Chargers win against the Carolina Panthers. 2-0 in the division. Let's get it going with Extreme Voltage.
This is Extreme Voltage.
2-0 coming into this season. Great game against the Panthers. Really briefly going to do a flashback to the Raider game last week. We didn't get a chance to do a breakdown on it. Look, I was at that Raider game last week, week one. I got to tell you, that stadium was pretty overrun by Raider fans, but at the end, we did not hear that Raiders chant because the Chargers took care of business, 22-10. Great ball game last week. Look, tough defensive ball game all the way through, and then you saw that second half, that continual running game just really broke down the Raiders defense and really made some nice long drives. Again, J.K. Dobbins came through in the clutch. Defense was such a strong facet last week. The D-line pressures, the secondary just playing really well, and they put that game away 26-10. I especially like the fact that when it was 16-10 later in that second half, the Chargers were driving down the field in that fourth quarter. They had a third down opportunity close to the goal line, and instead of being conservative and doing a running play and just getting close, maybe not getting a first down at that point with a conservative play and just kicking a field goal and be up 19-10, which is a 2-score lead obviously, they went ahead and passed the ball on third down, and sure enough, that was a Ladd McConkey catch and run, and that broke the game over to 22-10. And I thought that's something we got to look upon as we continue talking about these Chargers. But hey, let's talk about that Panther game this week.
Week 2.
Great win this week in Carolina. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to break this down in a couple ways. Look, is Carolina a good team? Absolutely not. And you saw the benching. It's Monday right now as we're speaking, September 16th. And there's been a benching. That's right. This morning it was reported that Bryce Young now is benched. And that's compliments to what happened yesterday on the field when he passed for 84 yards in the game against the Chargers. So what I'm trying to say is when you are a good team, and let's go ahead and say the Chargers are a good team right now, okay? Very, very young into the season, only 2 games in. Let's say we're a good team, okay? Based on how our defense is playing and our running game is going right now. We are, let's say, a good team. You play against a bad team, and that's what the Carolina Panthers are. Unfortunately, they are. Defensively, they might not be, but that offensive game is horrendous, and that quarterback is just not right to play at this time. So therefore, when you bring in a strong team or a good team, that's what you need to do. Now, they didn't do what the Saints did last week and demolished them by 40 plus, whatever the case was at that point, even a stronger method. But what they did at 26-3, that was a statement game. That's what you do against bad teams. And I want to break that down right now because I thought the defense, I tell you what, man, that defense is coming to play every game, okay? 2 weeks in, but we even saw this prior in the preseason with the seconds and thirds. You saw the same type of situation where there are bottling up running backs, okay? They are bottling up running backs, and you're not getting the yardage after a catch. You're not seeing that breakaway run after a catch. The corners and safeties are swooping down. Literally, the defense is playing downhill. And I know we kind of throw that out sometimes. We make it kind of seem like it's just a slogan. But you got to understand, you can tell the difference, right? If a team or a defense is playing with on their heels, they're always late to attack the ball, right? You get lucky if you make a stop. Otherwise, you're always looking at what the offensive guy is doing and you're reacting to that offensive player. And many times when that happens, the offense has the advantage, right? They make a couple of moves on you and you're just sitting back on your heels, don't know which way to go, and you're going to get caught. But if you're playing downhill, that means you know you've got backup and you have protection. If you attack this player coming at you, if it's a contested catch or if it's a running play and you got to take the outside guy and you got to take him out, you're not worried about if you miss this tackle that this guy's going to be free and clear and gone. That's also called coaching. And that's how that's different this year. Okay. Two facets. You've got players playing the right way. improved players playing the right way. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. Maybe even injuries that we had previously unfairly that made us look bad. But some good added players that have come in, and really now it's an attacking defense. And you're seeing that specifically on that front line, right? With Bosa, Mack, Tully, and Bud Dupree. And they're bringing in that nice pressure. But what you're seeing now, which we didn't see before, is also that D-line, that interior D-line that really has been an upgraded this year for them. And I'm talking about a couple of guys really making an impact. Puna Ford just coming in and just creating havoc in that run game and that great, strong pass rush. Just a big man in the middle that brings it. And really doing an outstanding job with that. And a third-year player, Otito Ogbonya from the UCLA Bruins, I tell you, he's gotten bigger. And he's gotten better, just so active with the hands. And these two guys are really, really, really bringing it. And I think that's making an impact for these edge rushers to come in and make some great plays. So a couple of nice situations on defense brewing there on the D-line. And that, I forgot to mention Morgan Fox. I think Morgan Fox is outstanding in there as well. Really, really plays with that. Has a nice little hybrid system to him. He's got that D-line, yet he's got a nice pass rush to him as well. So he's not as big as Puna or Tito, but he just has a nice, smooth rush to him. And he plays that inside game with that leverage really well. Let's go to linebackers right now, because this is the bread and butter for our defense, or the team is this defense. And I think all three facets, all three levels are playing so well. Denzel Perryman, man, I tell you, how great is it that he's back? And he's just a better player than I saw him originally with the Chargers. Seriously, he was always a thumper with the Chargers. The guy was going after the big hit. Now he is just more of an intelligent player and just has a great range. Still a strong big guy, but has a lot more athleticism to him, and he's in the field everywhere. Really good speed on him. An older player, but he's playing fantastic right now. PFF score 35th out of 76 right now, with a score of 66.5. Really doing a great job overall. And once again, that's utilizing the Pro Football Focus grading scale, which we've used a lot on the shows. So appreciate you guys sticking with us and hearing that out. And also Dion Henley, second-year linebacker, really grading out well with Pro Football Focus as well. He's got an 80.7 score. And just, I tell you what, just really bringing that athletic, strong linebacker. I like what I'm seeing in him. Junior Colson was out there as well. Had an injury that he went in. I think it was a hamstring that he went in later in the game. I think it was late in the first half that we went back to the locker room. But linebackers showing up really, really strongly, and that's been a good facet to see.
Defensive backs.
The secondary coming in was, to me, it was a little bit questionable last year. We had issues, right? Mike Davis on one side was giving us some problems. And, this year we moved on and we got Christian Fulton back there and from Tennessee. And I tell you what, man, he is a great looking player. He is he is solid, great tackler, always in coverage. It's smart player, doesn't have these bad pass interferences, right? That sometimes it's going to happen, but smart with his hand placement. I love the way he's playing. He's solidifying that one side consistently. And that's been really, really nice to see. Again, great tackler as well for running or after the catch, doing a fantastic job. I like what's going on there. On the other side, Asante Samuel. I got to tell you, Asante Samuel, for the last couple of years, has had problems tackling the ball carrier, okay? Really had problems against the run. Even on the pass, a little inconsistent. Sometimes he would have great breakout games, multiple interception games, and sometimes he would just get abused. And I remember seeing that and go, okay, is it a size issue? Is it just not staying on the man the right way, or just sometimes just bad luck? But Asante really, really has brought his game up. Great tackler right now, hitting everything in front of him, playing completely downhill like we talked about earlier. There's no hesitation. Nice pass breakups this last game against the Panthers. Just really, really active. And I'm loving the aggressiveness and the downhill play of this defense. And the secondary is really coming up strong. And I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing on that end. And with that, just a couple of scores to give you guys for the PFF side. I just love these. Sometimes the analytics really kind of speak volumes on this because you're seeing something on the field, and then you're trying to get that data and say, okay, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing? Is it the right numbers here? And sure enough, it is, because Christian Fulton scored with a great 79.5 for a PFF score, which is really a great score for him. And I believe, going back to Asante Samuel, he had a 66-point grade as well. So really both of them outstanding numbers, right? Outstanding numbers, solid numbers on there. The safeties, look, Derwin, you're seeing him playing loose, and that's a good thing to see. You're seeing Derwin play really well. Loihe Gilman had that great game against the Raiders, and he's also great out at 66 on PFF. But this last week, we saw a new safety up on there, and from the Tennessee Titans that just came in and had a heck of a game. I thought he did really well, and I'm talking about Elijah Molden. Scoring out, listen to this, 92.9 on the safeties. And right now, that obviously he has limited play. He had a great interception, some nice hits around the field, just very active. So great pickup with Elijah Molden. By the way, his dad played on the Chargers many years ago as well. So family tradition here, wearing a bolt on their helmets. So good stuff there. So I'm liking this defense. I'm really enjoying what I'm seeing, and that has been one of the heartbeats here for the just new Chargers. And I got to call it this new regime of the Chargers. This is what they're bringing.
Chargers new look offense.
Okay, so let's talk about this offense. I know what some people are going to say. It's kind of boring. Herbert isn't doing great. Where's our pass game? I don't see a lot of excitement. We miss Keenan. We miss Mike, and so forth. Look, we're winning games. Okay, you're winning games. Your Chargers are not just winning games, but they're actually they're dominating these games. Okay, and you're seeing that by the end of the game. Again, Raider game, it took a whole half, 3 quarters, but regardless, throughout the game, you always felt as though you were in charge. You were the bully on the street. Okay, and that's because of the offensive line play and the running game. Okay, J.K. Dobbins has brought some great life to this Charger offense. And, J.K.'s journey, man, with the Baltimore Ravens has been something that's been documented pretty well with all those injuries, right? Knock on wood. Looking strong, looking really strong, and I think only getting better as he continues. And especially, I think the gel and flow of this offensive line, I think they're getting better as well. You saw the first half of that Raider game last week compared to this week's Panther game, and they legit are just really playing downhill as well. I'm going to call that as well, downhill playing, because when you're blocking for the run, it's so much different than blocking for the pass because you're attacking. And with 2 running backs like J.K. and also Gus Edwards coming in and providing those tough in-between tackle runs. And one thing I noticed on both these guys, get a chance to see it, and I'm sure you guys have noticed as well, they are not dancers. They are straight one-cut guys. And I love this because if you're going to be a in-between tackle runner, A and B gaps, right, then you're going to be needing to take that one step and go. And that takes a lot of courage because sometimes you're running into concrete walls, and that's what's going to happen when you got some linebackers and D linemen getting into those A and B gaps, right? A gap between the center and the guard, B gap between that guard and tackle. And sometimes you got a big linebacker coming in your face and attacking you. It's not easy when you're going full on speed. That's why you see a lot of dancers in there. And some running backs are excellent. They come in, they pick a hole, and they slice through it, but they're stopping and weaving and going. Well, we've seen that a lot with our Charger runners, and I'll talk about some other ones like Austin Eckler last year. Austin was an amazing running back for us for many years, but last year you noticed it, and the running game was not completely there. Pretty much the same kind of line here, right? Besides the addition of Joel and Bozeman. What you're seeing here is a style of runner. These guys attack the hole very, very quickly. Again, both running backs, very similar skill traits when it comes to that. And that's why you're seeing even a negative play in a running game for us, a negative play Guys are getting hit about the line of scrimmage, but they're falling forward. So any negative play I saw was about a yard or 2 yard gain. That's fantastic compared to what we've seen in the past with a 2 yard loss or a 3 yard loss, right? We're seeing some nice gains, even on a play that was sniffed out and the defense won that one. Even then, our O-line is playing so well and our runners are following that line so well, including the tight ends, right? Will Disley, Hayden Hurst, really good, strong tight ends coming in and playing that blocking game. So that's been great to see. I think that's made all the difference in this offense, right? And that's been great. Over 150 yards, over 175 yards rushing here last few weeks. That's something that's unheard of for the Chargers, and that's what happens there. You control the time of possession, which is still a very strong trait to have because now you're controlling the clock on your side. And it's not an overrated stat. And some people say it's not a big deal. It is a big deal. And I'm telling you why it's a big deal. Because you're playing against teams like Kansas City. Okay? You're playing against teams like a San Francisco, right, or a Philadelphia, or some strong-looking teams that will come in with some offenses, like a Miami offense, right? These guys will come in, and if they have the ball way too many possessions more than you do, or even 1 or 2 additional possessions than you do, you're going to lose a game. You're going to get outscored. That's the name of the game, right? You're going to get outscored. So not only is it imperative for your defense to play well, but your defense has to stay strong and fresh. And how do you do that? By keeping your offense on the field. And I'm going to go ahead and go back to the old Chargers. I'm talking 1980s Eric Coryell Chargers, right? Those Chargers would score in a flash. And that defense was gassed. They've been out there for 10, 12, 14 plays. Chargers coming in with Dan Fouts and those guys and would just attack the field. All of a sudden, in 2, 3, 4 plays, you got a touchdown, and now you're back on the field. Look, you feel great, you scored, but you're dead tired, right? You're doggone tired, and this is what this kind of offense does. This is the steroid version of the 4-minute offense, right? They're going to run the ball down your throat, and the team knows that you're going to run the ball, and they're there to stop you, and they're still having a hard time. So that's when Herbie comes in, okay? And look, I got to tell you, Herbert had a really beautiful pass to Quentin Johnston. Great QG game this week. Quentin Johnston really played well this week with those 2 touchdowns. I liked what I saw. The first pass that he caught was all hands on tight coverage. So all those QJ people, doggers out there that don't like him, take a look at the play and see how well he caught that ball with his hands, okay? So let's get that narrative kind of fixed. This kid's playing really well, and I think he's going to be pretty and he needs to be. He needs to be number 1 receiver. We'll talk about that in a minute, but let me go back to Herbie for a second.
Quarterback breakdown.
Herbert right now is not playing great. Okay? Herbert right now is when I'm watching him and I'm not seeing the confidence yet with him in this offense. And not that, maybe I'm using the wrong word here. Maybe it's not just a confidence issue. I just don't think he knows where he fits yet. And that's okay. This is a normal thing. This is week 2 of the NFL season, right? This team should not be the same as it is in week 8, week 12, and week 16, and in the playoffs. And it should be getting hopefully better each week. There'll be adversity along the way. Obviously, injuries will be part of it. Depth will be tested. But this offense is going to continue to be evolving. Okay, your defense is hopefully getting better as well, or staying where they're at and kind of just playing lights out the way they are right now. But this offense needs to get better, and it will get better. Okay, it will. The number 1 thing you can do right now is run the ball, and that's the easiest thing to do right now is run the ball. Right? It's hat on a hat. It's knowing what your job is, and you have runners that know how to run in this system, which luckily we do with both our guys. Okay. Check 1. Herbie right now is taking way too many shots in the backfield. Sometimes, I'll give you a case in point. This last week against the Panthers, right? 4th quarter, tries to come in, slide into the pocket after getting bum rushed here with a nice little blitz coming at him. He tries to make a hero play, walks up into the pocket, tries to make a nice, just to get the ball out of the way. He gets hit really badly, and he gets he gets hit backwards where he's rolled up on. His arm got hit. His legs got hit. It was just a bad scene. It could have anyone inside the tent. Obviously, he got checked out for his legs, and X-rays came back negative thus far. So, fingers crossed. We're looking good for this week against Pittsburgh. But unnecessary hits that you don't need to take that. It was 23-3 at that point, I believe, too, and it's late in the fourth quarter. There's no need. Herbie, there's no need. You got to know. Sometimes you're going to have to take that sack or eat it. You know who was one of the best ones that did that? That was Phillip Rivers. And he was one dog of a guy. He was a big, strong player, right? And he took a lot of hits. But, he never really took unnecessary hits. Like, he was really strong about he didn't like something, that ball will go right to your legs, man, right to your feet. He just killed that play right away and moved on to the next one. And sometimes that bothered me. I'm like, oh, maybe he could have done something different. But, he didn't run, so he can only do anything different, right? But Herbie, if you can't run it, man, if there's no option there and you can't run with the ball, which he did really well these last two games, then, man, just eat that ball and take an easy sack and go on your butt and just take that sack and don't get beat up. Because I don't want to see Easton stick. Because that offense is going to change, and we've seen it before, and it's not comfortable, right? And I don't have confidence. I seriously do not have confidence in Easton stick. Can he get by? Maybe, right? But what I saw in that preseason is a head scratcher. And I'm glad we got Heineke for that, right? Taylor Heineke has come in, and I'm hoping he becomes a second, because right now he's a third, right? And just to kind of back end this for a minute, we don't want to see a second-string quarterback because I have zero confidence. So Herbie, you gotta be a little smarter with this, and you're not there yet. I think the whole receiver situation is still in flux. I think we saw Ladd McConkey last week with a nice touchdown catch and run against the Raiders. We saw Quentin Johnston this week with some spectacular playability. So now you're seeing, and I really think it's going to be 1A and 1B, Quentin and Ladd. That's got to be your go-to guys. These are your newer go-to guys. They're going to do it. Josh Palmer, he's a 3 for me, right? He gets banged up a lot. He's not that big. He's a good receiver, but he's not spectacular. He's a good receiver. I think Quentin and Ladd are your top 2, and they should play like your top 2. Even with DJ Chark, who comes in a couple weeks after the IR stint, that's fine. Bring him in as well. He's got a lot of injury history as well on his side. Let him get in there and let him play. But I really think these 2 top receivers should be Quentin and Ladd. And it's only going to take that time and development of Herbie with these guys. And we haven't had it. He had Keenan for years. He had Mike for years. Albeit they were hurt throughout these years. So you didn't get a full season out of these guys. And knock on wood, these guys will stay healthy, relatively healthy, to be there week in and week out. But I think the fact of, we have no passing game right now, or we don't know how to pass yet, or Herbie doesn't look good. Yeah, okay. I got it. Valid points, because I see the same thing you're seeing. But I also think this is week 2, and we can't expect perfection or a situation where this team is playing to its optimal level by week 3. You want baby steps, right? And that's what's happening right now. But this is good, because I don't want to be playing the best football in September or October, right? We want to play the best football in December and January, and hopefully in that one little game in February. So I like what I'm seeing, guys. I think this is a great, 2-0, man. Feels nice to be on top of the division. Also feels nice to be on top of the conference. Right now, if the way I was looking at it on certain areas, if the playoffs started today, which they're not, we're number 2 in the league right now. So this is nice. Let's continue it. Hey, one week at a time. This is Marty Schottenheimer ball. I gotta tell you, for a lot of those fans out there that watched Marty back in the day, God bless his soul, this is Marty ball right now, 2.0. I think Harbaugh has really brought this physicality and this winning culture to this team. And I think, once again, it's just going to be interesting to see how it's going to develop as we go and we start playing more divisional foes and even tougher competitors. And one tough team coming up this week are going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Pittsburgh Steelers breakdown.
Okay, so week 3 at the Steelers. By the way, Chargers, I love the way they're managing this. You know that they're staying in Carolina this week and not coming back home. They made the East Coast trip, and Jim Harbaugh said, you know what? We're going to stay here. We're going to practice in Carolina after our game, and we're gonna just stay down here and get our timing here set up, and we're not going to travel back and forth and get tired. We got a road trip coming up, and let's just finish up this road trip. Let's get done with Pittsburgh and come on back home. Smart move. I think more West Coast teams should be doing this. I think it's much harder for West Coast guys to go to the East Coast just because of the time difference, right? You're playing a 10 a.m. game in your body clock, even though it's 1 o'clock out there. That's a whole different ball of wax, and you can't just turn that on by going there on a Saturday afternoon and thinking Sunday you're ready to go. That's a big clock management issue for your body clock. So I'm liking what this strategy is. Hopefully it pays off this week. Hopefully that's what's going to be. This week's game reminds me of that Spider-Man meme where the Spider-Man is pointing at each other, identical Spider-Mans. It really does, and I'll tell you why. These defenses pretty much legitimately look like each other, okay? Strong pass rush, right? TJ Watt coming at you. Strong D-line, linebacker play, which we just mentioned. Good corners with Porter, Joey Porter Jr. That's a hard-hitting defense. That's a hard-hitting defense coming at them. So and we've seen it, right, these last 2 weeks, right? They've been playing really, really well. So this is a mano-a-mano, helmet-on-helmet defensive game, I think. It's going to be a low-scoring, heavily battled defensive game, I think, on both sides. So I'm looking forward to that. Offenses, pretty similar. They both have really, really strong running games they lean on, right? Najee Harris, Warren, these guys are the ones that are going to be carrying the rock for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and they do a really, really good job with it. Physical runners, physical, strong runners, not dancing either. They're coming right down your throat. And I think it's very similar to Gus and JK. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. I'm going to say it's even on all fronts. I think even on defensive side, even on the O-line, even on running back play. Let's separate it. Okay, let's separate that. Okay, Justin Fields is your starter. And look, I like Justin Fields. I think he's got a really bad rap in Chicago, and I think he's a good player. He's an exciting player. And he can really, and you've seen it, he can turn it up. And he's a great runner with the ball, and he can also throw it. So it just depends, right? He's got Pickens, who's a fantastic star receiver. I think he's like the number one receiver out there out of everybody on that field that day. So he stands out to me. So that connection is going to be strong. We're going to make sure that either Christian or Asante are taking care of that and really doing a good job. He's an extremely talented receiver. He's probably going to have to get some help with Alohi, Derwin, or Elijah Molden. So that's a big one there, and we'll see how that comes up. But I do like the receiver on that side a lot. I like Herbie better than Justin Fields. I think Herbert coming in hopefully healthy for this game. I think that's going to be a factor. I'll take him and what he does with the football over Justin Fields. So I think that regards, I like that side of it. Everything else is pretty much even keel. The biggest difficulty I think they're also going to face is that hostile crowd in Pittsburgh. Okay, that is probably the toughest place. And I know Kansas City's tough. I know Seattle's tough. But man, playing in Pittsburgh, that is a really difficult place to play, right? That crowd noise is going to be a huge factor as well. So I love the fact that we're getting this test early in the season. And I really think this is going to be a huge test for them. And we shouldn't take it lightly that it's only Pittsburgh and we should play better. And this is going to be a tough defensive, hard-hitting game. And I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. I think it's like a 19-13 game or 19-16 game. I think it comes down to a field goal. And you know what? It's going to be a beatdown, knock-em-out game. So I'm excited to see it. I think it's going to be pretty fantastic. I love what these Chargers are bringing. And it's going to be exciting for us to be a fan this week and see what happens. So, hey, listen, enjoy it. We're 2-0. This is happening all the time for us. But hey, we expect a lot more. Obviously, it should be a great game this week. Let's come back next week. I'll break it down to you guys next Monday afternoon. We'll discuss the after effects. Hope it's a great game. Before we go, I'd like to acknowledge and thank Kevin McLeod for Strength of the Titans and the Ice Giants for the music today. You can find Kevin at filmmusic.io. Appreciate my producer, Nate Mad Dog Wiggins behind the glass. We will catch you next time. Good luck, the Sunday Chargers. Bolt up.
This is Extreme Voltage.